someone named Jordan Mason. We don't even know who that is, but he ran circles around the Jets, finished with 147 yards and a touchdown. And he was the backup because Christian McCaffrey couldn't play. The 49ers sullying the Aaron Rodgers comeback story, the highly publicized comeback of Aaron Rodgers, a 32-19 thumping, easily covering the point spread without their top player. A win for the Niners over the Jets on Monday night. The better story is in the losing locker room, so that is where we begin. Let us discuss the question: what is the good, the bad, and the ugly from this performance for Robert Saleh's Jets? So I've got Modelo, Lowe's, and Academia. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a pack-up-your-bag-and-leave situation, which is what the Jets did. They packed up their bag. They got the heck out of there right after the game ended. Well, I guess the good news is nobody died. As far as we know, no one died. There were no death reported in the Jets traveling party. To my knowledge, no players were seriously injured in the game for the Jets. Now, the bad, that would be Aaron Rodgers and the offense. More on that coming up here in a bit. The ugly was the defense. Now, I had been told by the experts that the Jets, they love this defense. They had first-round picks, second-round picks all over this defense. They love to pump their chest out and brag. Very braggadocious about the defense for the Jets. Gangrene played like they had gangrene in this game. That was the junior varsity absolutely manhandled. And the 49ers also, on the defensive side, against the Jets, offensive line, the Niners defense bruised and battered the New York offensive line. On both sides. Island game. Everyone's watching the island game, living the island life. To give you an idea of how big a manhandle this was for the Jets defense with all those first and second round picks, the 49ers scored 8 consecutive drives. 8 times they either got a field goal or a touchdown. The big uglies, the Jets were kicked, they were kneed, they were elbowed, they were poked in the eye from pillar to post in this particular game, and they played gutless football. And that is the worst thing you can say about a team. Watching the approach the Jets have, this is a referendum on the motivational speaker, the Tony Robbins of the NFL, Robert Saleh, whose pedigree is that of a defensive guru, defensive coordinator for the 49ers, who the Jets happen to be playing. And so this is a measuring stick game. This is a measuring stick. We know the Jets aren't as good as the 49ers, but how far away are they? And we have the answer now. I can say, beyond a reasonable doubt, the Jets at this point in the NFL season blow chunks. They blow. I mean, jeez. There's a line that I love. The late Mike Leach had it, and I apply this to all coaches. I honor the memory of Mike Leach, my favorite all-time college football coach, Mike Leach, who preached that you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And I used that standard for Robert Saleh and the Jets. The green team lacking that Modelo. They should have passed out Modelo before the game. They did not have the fighting spirit. I didn't realize they traveled by stagecoach from New Jersey to California. Did they get the Spanish flu somewhere in Colorado? I don't know. But they were absolutely emasculated. They showed no real pushback at all. You even had, I love this, Sauce Gardner. Now, if you believe the Jets, take them at face value, all these teams lie, but the Jets claimed that Sauce Gardner, who didn't play a lot in the second quarter, the Jets were saying he wasn't hurt. They essentially said he was out of breath. He was out of shape.
Say what?
He's not fat. He's a little saucy. He's Sauce Gardner. And he missed a block in the second quarter. He had to catch his breath. It's game 1. These guys don't even play in the exhibition games during training camp. What are we doing? Wowzers. All right, now, page 2. Let's get now to the Komodo Dragon. The Komodo Dragon. There's a fly buzzing around here, by the way. It just landed on my face here. That's wild. Anyway, so let's get to page 2. How did Aaron Rodgers look for the Jets? So this is a cover your eyes situation. The Benny Brightside in me says, well, he looked choppy. That's the bright side part of it. Mix and match, a drop pass here, a tip pass over there, frustration mounting. That was the kind of performance you expect from a Jets quarterback. That wasn't what people remember. Rodgers was becoming bad his last year in Green Bay. He was starting to show signs of falling apart. But the overall body of work, I think you'd agree with me on this, that the body of work was pretty good, right? And the question is, while this was a bumpy flight, a lot of issues there, a lot of turbulence for the flight here. The oxidation can be fixed, right? Was this simply corrosion from not playing in a long time and going out and having a lot of ayahuasca with Joe Rogan and things like that? Because you can fix that. Oxidation can be fixed. You go down to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever your favorite hardware store is, and you buy an industrial-sized container of WD-40. The issue is there is a dimension where this is not just rust. This is Aaron Rodgers being an old fogey that he's past his expiration date, and that if that's the case, you're cooked. You are absolutely cooked. The Jets will not fly out. Rodgers did have the body language of a guy that was starting to realize in the late second quarter that this is not northern Wisconsin. This is a little different. They might be wearing green and white, but there's something else going on. Now, the last word here. We now pivot to the winning locker room, not the better story, but the winning locker room. And we asked the question, what stood out to you the most from the 49ers on their side of the ledger? So I will address this to the esteemed panel here, and the first thought I have is academia. It's like comparing different levels of education. You've got the 49ers who are a master's student, and then you've got the Jets who are doing finger painting. They're in kindergarten. They're just trying to make sure they can hold their urine to go to the bathroom. That's the Jets, right? And now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I thought this was going to be the way it played out. I did not. If you saw Benny versus the Penny on television this past weekend, I was optimistic that the Jets would be able to hang around here. And I didn't see this type of domination coming. I guess I should have. But all the drama was hovering around the 49ers. You had holdouts in training camp, lack of practice reps for the key players who were out. You mix in, I didn't know this at the time we did the TV show, but you got Christian McCaffrey who missed the game. You had all the ingredients for the 49ers to come out and have an absolute clunker. It's early in the season. These first couple of weeks are like glorified, what used to be exhibition games, but they don't play those anymore. The star players, God forbid, they play in these exhibition games. So you had everything you needed in the recipe for this game to be competitive. And yet, even early on, I was somewhat optimistic early on. Brandon Ayuk missed a opportunity to score a touchdown. He dropped a touchdown. I guess they got to pay him more money to catch that pass. So you had that. You had Brock Purdy, who came out and was wobbly in the first quarter of the game. And then all of a sudden, this goose shows up that laid the golden egg, someone named Jordan Mason. We still don't really know who this guy was. And he steps in and is the ultimate plug-and-play running back. This has been the argument against paying a running back, and the Niners paid a running back more than anyone in Christian McCaffrey. And yet you put a guy like this in, how much of that was Jordan Mason, how much of that was the scheme, and how much of that was the Jets stink? Well, we'll never know, but Jordan Mason, 33 uneventful games, undrafted out of the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech, and he went from roster spam to a starring role. And 147 yards, pivoting, moving around, what you want. I mean, he was able to run around through Jet defenders. He absolutely torched the Jets. You got burned by Jordan Mason. That's who beat you. That guy right there. And the lack of ability on the offensive and defensive line. I think the Jets need to suck another 20 years and draft more linemen. And yeah, that's the ticket.